The top 5 strategic bomber aircraft in operation today. The strategic bomber is a bombing aircraft designed to drop air to carry out aerial bombardment of ground targets, typically over a medium to long range. Such strategic bombing techniques were used extensively during the Second World War, and have continued to be a capacity of several military forces since, with changes and improvements in light bombers and aerial refueling, and in missile and intercontinental ballistic missiles, ICBM, technology, their use and roles have changed, but several aircraft types are still in use in the US, Russia, and China. This article looks at 5 of the main strategic bombers, in order of the total number of aircraft ever built. 1. Boeing B-52 Stratofortress. Number of aircraft built, 744. Length, 159 feet 4 inches, 48.5 meters. Wingspan, 185 feet 0 inches, 56.4 meters. Range, with weapon payload, 7,670 nautical miles, 14,200 kilometers. The top place for number of aircraft built goes to the Boeing B-52 Stratofortress. This was a post-Second World War development to carry nuclear weapons during the Cold War. It has since become the workhorse of the U.S. strategic bomber fleet, with its distinctive 8 turbofan engines and huge armament payload capability. A Boeing B-52 Stratofortress flying in the sky over the years. Production ran up to 1962, 744 aircraft were built today, around 70 remain in service. Aircraft were significantly upgraded in the 2010s, and major engine upgrades are also underway, and the U.S. Air Force now plans to keep them in service into the 2050s. Despite the change in roles and questions over the future need for strategic bombers, it seems the U.S. Air Force will be committed to them for some time yet. 2. Tupolev Tu-95. Number of aircraft built, over 500. Length, 151 feet 7 inches, 46.2 meters. Wingspan, 164 feet 4 inches, 50.1 meters. Range, with weapon payload, 8,100 nautical miles, 15,000 kilometers. The Tupolev Tu-95 is a heavy, 4-engine turboprop strategic bomber that entered service with the Soviet Air Forces in 1956. Parts of the design were based on B-29 aircraft that crashed or made a forced landing in Soviet territory. It remains one of the most powerful and fastest turboprop aircraft ever built. It uses 4 Kuznetsov NK-12 8-bladed contra-rotating propellers. This makes it one of the noisiest turboprops ever developed. It is also one of the only turboprops to use a swept-back wing design. Russian Bear Tu-95. Like the B-52, it has seen many upgrades and modifications to keep it in service for so long. It was originally designed to carry Soviet nuclear weapons but has been adapted to deploy cruise missiles and perform maritime patrols. Incredibly, the Tu-95 was not used in combat until the Syrian civil war in 2015. The Tu-95 was also modified for use as a passenger aircraft, the Tu-114. Like the US B-52, the Tu-95 will likely remain in military service for a long time yet. Russia plans to keep the type in service until at least 2040. 3. CNH-6. Number of aircraft built, over 230. Length, 114 feet 2 inches, 34.8 meters. Wingspan, 108 feet 3 inches, 33 meters. Range, with weapon payload, 1,890 nautical miles, 3,500 kilometers. The CNH-6 is the main bomber aircraft used by the Chinese military, People's Liberation Force, Air Force and Navy. It is a license-built version of the Soviet Tupolev Tu-16 and was introduced in China in 1969. The standard H-6 was not long-range enough to be considered a strategic bomber, but this was changed with the development of the H-6K variant. It entered service in 2007 and is the main model still in production in China now. The H-6K added a new reinforced fuselage structure, new avionics and glass cockpit, upgraded engines, and additional underwing mounting for missiles. There is also a maritime variant with anti-ship missiles and a nuclear-capable version. 4. Rockwell B-1 Lancer. Number of aircraft built, 104. Length, 146 feet 45 meters. Wingspan, 137 feet 42 meters. Range, with weapon payload, 5,100 nautical miles, 9,400 kilometers. The Rockwell B-1 Lancer was introduced in 1986. Development had started much earlier in the 1970s but was cancelled after the first prototype was built. Delays in the B-2 program saw it restarted in the 1980s. It is a supersonic bomber powered by 4 afterburning turbofan engines. It offers high range and payload capability and is able to carry nuclear weaponry. It is a very different strategic bomber than the heavy B-52 or stealthy B-2 for the U.S. Air Force. This is a long-range but nimble bomber, capable of outmaneuvering enemy aircraft. A Rockwell B-1 Lancer flying at cloud level. The B-1B is the variant in service today with 100 aircraft produced and a top speed of Mach 1.25. A shorter range B-1 variant capable of reaching Mach 2.2. But this was never developed. 5. Northrop Grumman B-2. Number of aircraft built, 21. Length, 69 feet, 21.0 meters. Wingspan, 172 feet, 52.4 meters. Range, with weapon payload, 6,000 nautical miles, 11,000 kilometers. The Northrop Grumman B-2 Spirit bomber is one of the most technically capable and unusual aircraft ever built. With only 21 aircraft ever built, due largely to the very high cost, it is far from the most numerous, but it is one of the most capable. The bomber was designed during the Cold War to evade radar and attack distant targets. Much of the design and technology remains unknown. Development was and still is highly secret. Its flying wing design with sharp edges and radar absorbent surface design helped to evade radar technology and heat sensing systems. Northrop built 21 aircraft between 1987 and 2000, all only ever operated by the U.S. Air Force. The first time the B-2 was used in combat was during the 1998 to 1999 Kosovo War. B-2 in flight. An improved replacement for the B-2 has been unveiled by the U.S. Air Force. The B-21 Raider flew for the first time on November 10, 2023. It will eventually replace the B-2, again showing the U.S. ongoing commitment still to strategic bombers.